Well, I think everybody, has their own strategies that they've devised. And I think med schools and residency programs do try to teach that as part of the curriculum. Like a big buzzword is wellness. Like, what's your wellness plan? Like, what do you do for that? And so there are a lot of like events and things and like ways that other people that we try to like teach young doctors how to do that. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out what works for you. Right. And like what suits you. Like for some people, it's doing yoga, for, whatever. For me, I find, physical activity is really important. Like I find that I just started getting up. I have my wife to thank for this. Like she started ahead of me, but getting up in the morning and just getting exercise before work. Like it sounds simple, but like I get up every day an hour or more before I need to. And I either go to the gym, I go for a run. I have an indoor bike that I ride. It's not a Peloton. It's like an old bike on a trainer. It's not fancy. Like on an iPad, that's fancy. So, but I just do and I feel like, okay, there's one thing I can control. Like I've done one good thing that's healthy. It's good for me. And like, I like feeling fit. And so that's like one thing that nobody can take away. Like no experience throughout the day, however good or bad, is going to change the fact that I can say to myself, I got some exercise. So that's one thing. The other things I think are like the support of the family and friends that I told you about is really, really important to me. I have like really cherished and loved old friends. like I have friends from like 30, 40 years ago. My wife, I've known her since we were 17, 18 years old. And forever. And then my newest friend is like 10 years old, or maybe 1 year because John's my buddy. So he's in the, okay, we got to age a little bit together here, buddy. But no, really. And so people who know you really well, I think can understand and listen and have the patience to listen. Yeah. And so, I have I don't have a million friends, but I have a good group of old core friends who really I find are very supportive, who I can talk about with, I can talk about real things with them. It's not just like the sports scores. It's like real stuff that happened in my life or that's going on that I want to process. And I listen to them. And I find that, and my family too, like, beloved family members. My wife's family is really big. And, my own family, I are really key and important. My mom, my sister, really being able to have people that you can be real with. I find is really helpful. But also, I do feel like part of our job, it's like a little bit like PTSD. Like, yeah. Even with all these like strategies for dealing with this or that, like I'm up at 3:00 in the morning with a baby who's maybe dying, yeah. There's no way around that, like that's just a bad situation that you're managing, that you're handling, and you're watching the family suffer and you're watching the baby and you're like, doing everything you can think of. And so I do worry about that toll, like watching all of that and going through that and then what that does to your own psyche and how you process it. So I try to have time to go through to kind of process the things mentally. I spend like a little bit of time alone, processing and just reading or doing something solitary that like allows me to just really kind of zone in on clearing my head a little bit. And I feel like that helps. But it's not easy. It's really not easy.